All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow, and remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. Today, ladies and gentlemen, very, very special guest for you, all the way from H-Town, that's Houston, Texas, for those y'all like, I don't know what H-Town is. Houston, Texas, H-Town, okay? Put your hands together for Mr. Jevon Wooden.
Yo, what an introduction, brother. I appreciate that, King. Man, I gotta have you introduce me more often. The energy, I love it.
Hey man, we keep it busting rhymes over here, okay? Always hot.
Yes, sir.
Always
all the way up. Always up.
all the way. Now, man, before we even get started, let me just introduce you to the public and let them know who you are, okay? Man, founder of Live Not Loathe, and that's LOATHE LLC, okay? And basically, he's also an author. We're gonna talk about his books, All Gas, No Brakes, and Own Your Kingdom. And basically, we're gonna mindset coach. All right, mindset. And if you all know what I'm about that positive mindset, okay? And I've dedicated my platform to talking about mental health in all sorts of ways, and we're here to do that today, ladies and gentlemen. So, first and foremost, how are you, sir?
Yo, I'm fantastic, King. I'm fantastic, man. I appreciate you creating a platform such as this where we can express such an important concept and talk in such a lighthearted way. That is key because we're reaching so many people through that. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you.
All right, okay, so let's dive right in now. Okay, let's dive into this. Now, my first question to you is, what is the mission? What is the mission of Live Not Loathe?
Yeah, no problem, brother. So the mission of Live Not Loathe is to help high achievers design a life they don't need a vacation from. And how we do that is through mindset and perception transformation shifts. So what does that even mean, right? Like a lot of people like, okay, yeah, sounds good, but I don't know. So what that is we allow you to see how powerful you are. So many of us were taught to temper who we are, right? We have to do this, that, and the third to be successful, when it's not the case. Right? You don't need a college degree to be successful. The network isn't your net worth, because if you think about this, there are so many of us who lack the confidence to go for what we want. We're just doing things in life, checking off boxes. We want to dispel all of that. We want people to decide what success means for them. And I want everyone listening to know that success is for everyone. It is not a limited possibility. Right? We all can have success, and we all want different things. And if we come together, which is why Live Not Loathe exists, for collaborating and partnering with people on their ascension, right? If we come together, we can all be much better off than we were when we started.
Okay, all right. Now, look, I love it, and you really hit on some things, in the beginning when you were talking about, certain things that we need to become successful, like, okay, college degree, and things of that nature. I always talk about return on investment, especially when it comes to college. Now, that's a show for a whole nother day, and I've done past shows about that, but I'm just going to say sometimes when it comes to those things, and even those types of like sayings or what have you, your net worth is your net worth or what have you. These are things that are like pretty much passed down from generation to generation. And at some point you have to break that chain, because times change, and some of these old school sayings and old school beliefs don't really apply to the modern world, and the world we have today.
Exactly.
So, man,
exactly.
Now, let me ask, like, what type of services or insight does your organization offer to those who feel like they're just not enough, whether it be in families, relationships, what have you?
Yeah, and that's a great question. I appreciate you asking that. So the services we offer are geared towards, like I said, the mindset and perception, right? So we help people uplift themselves. We help people be their best cheerleader. be their best friend, right? To see like, yo, your confidence is really based on you. It's what you're telling yourself, right? That limiting belief is based on you. It's what you're telling yourself. So we help people understand that their perception is their reality. So in order to do that, we have to go ahead and understand, like, why do you think that way? You know, so we got to get to the root cause. And this is done through individual coaching sessions, group coaching. We do workshops, seminars. I'm a speaker, you know, just really in there, any medium. And that's really why I wrote the book as well, because I want to get people where they are, right? Whatever medium they looking at, podcasts, all of that. I'm hitting you on everything because I want people to understand how great they really are, because that's dormant in a lot of people. You know, a lot of people, that greatness is dormant, especially in the underserved communities, the Black community, because we heard so much. We've been traumatized, we've been brainwashed over so many generations, right? And generational trauma is a real thing, right? I went through it myself. I get it. So that's why I want to bring us back up to let us know that we are all kings and queens. We just need to see that.
I feel that, brother. And you know, I say it from time to time. Some of the first adversity you're going to go through in life won't be from the outside world, and it will be from family, you know. And, you know, sometimes those things carry with us throughout life, and it comes out through many different forms. Some of us, man, block it out. We keep it moving. You know, it may show its face later on down the line. For some of us, we never really get off the starting line, you know, because we have let those words or these images take over the optics, which has taken over our brain, and now we're just stuck in a certain place.
Right.
Man.
And you hit on some points, man, because it's like we've all gone through some sort of trauma, and it's really your response to that trauma, right, that makes the difference. We've all had pain. We share the pain, but the way you react to that pain is different. So some of us, we may project that and portray that in a way where we're defensive, right? Someone says something that triggers us or whatever. Some of us internalize everything, so we may seem as though we're confident, but deep down inside, we are torn, right? So we really have to, that's why I like to find out how it is manifested within you. Because when we find out how it's manifested in you, then I understand your emotional intelligence level. I understand how you deal with stress and trauma and pain. And I understand how I can coach you through that to not just move on from it, because you need to process that. A lot of us are not processing that, right? And I love, there's a book called Who Hurt You? Or What Happened to You? What Happened to You by Dr. Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. It just came out. And they talk about how trauma, you know, when it happens when you're younger, it really, really is harder to get over it, right? Because trauma happens in our primitive brain. What happens is our cognitive brain makes us different. That's what makes us human, right? But before any thought gets to your cognitive brains, it's all the way back here. So now you haven't even had a chance to really understand what was going on. Because once it hits that, you're like, oops, you know, I can't, you know, I'm pushing that to the side. That's what we say when we put it to the back of our mind. When we say back of our mind, we're talking about the primitive brain, right? So now we are not really understanding what's going on within us, and it's manifesting in anger. It's manifesting in having sex with multiple people. It's manifesting itself in drinking. It's manifesting itself in drugs, right? So that's what we have to do. We have to really go ahead and confront those fears, that trauma, right? In order to make a difference in our lives, in order to save our loved ones and all of that, man.
Hey, woo, brother, look. We having church today, y'all. I didn't know if I told y'all that, but today, yeah, we having church because we giving y'all this gospel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
sir, man. This is passion right here, man. I feel this.
Hey, man, look. So you, woohoo, just hit on a lot of stuff right there, okay? But let me guide you to this question here, because in what you said, I'm pretty sure this applies. A lot of times in society, even in personal relationships that we may have, family, what have you, we've been told that crying is weak in men, or to man up. Man, we've heard that plenty of times. I hear it all the time, even going out and about in the store, what have you. You know, you may hear of a mom telling her son, especially us in the African American community, man up, man, I'm gonna give you something to cry about, or this, that, or what have you. In your opinion, how can we move on from this stigma, especially in our community?
Yeah, 100, man. One of the things is support, man. We have to start showing each other love for that, like expressing your true emotions. And it's hard for us because when you think about what we've gone through as a people, right? When you showed your emotions, you were either killed, you were castrated, or you were separated from your families, right? That's just a known fact, right? There was all bad things when you showed emotion. So we got very good about hiding what we felt, right? So in order to overcome that, we have to be very intentional about now showing that emotion, but also supporting others who show that emotion. And one of the things we need to do is learn how to do that intelligently, right? Doing that in a proper way. Because a lot of us show emotion, we show anger, we blow up, right? And that comes from the fact that we're holding so much in, right? In order to really process emotions, we have to understand what that even means. Some of us have to go to professional help, and it's not a shame, right? It's not a shame thing to do, right? Going to get help is one of the strong things you can do. And if you can't afford professional help, studies show that micro therapy sessions, and that's with your friends, right? When you're talking about a situation, when you express what's going on and you express it as your authentic self, studies show that that is actually more effective. Like 15 to 30 seconds of that is actually more effective than going to a trauma session for 60 minutes with somebody you don't even know, right? So that's what we have to do more of. Express yourself and find out how to do it without like harming that person or belittling someone else, because that's a lot of times we don't know how to do that. We just say whatever because it's boiling. Right? It's like a volcano, right? When you have a volcano, it's been just not doing anything for so long. And it finally gets that moment where it just can't hold it anymore, not even the earth, which is one of the strongest things that can hold that volcano in, because when that lava wants to spew, it shoots up higher than the plane goes, right? So we have to understand that. That's us, right? We are that volcano. So if you never let it out when you want to, just let it out a little bit, let it out control, then it's just gonna spew when you don't want it to, on the people that don't deserve it, right? So that's how we gotta look at ourselves.
Look, man, brother, look, I'm gonna take a little quick detour, man. Like, that is so powerful in what you're saying. And I'm just gonna use myself as an example. Last week, I got a text from a relative about, something minor or whatever. But in the text, they just asked a simple question. And for some reason, that question just triggered, and I really wanted to go, man, woo, lucky for me, nobody was home, because I was just, I don't understand this. Like, what are you even saying? And then, after I got all of that out, I answered the relative. And as we got to talking a little bit more, I understood, you know what? Okay. First of all, I could have went off on this person. I could have went totally left, and I would have been wrong, because they're just confused about whatever the situation was. They were told misinformation, and that, led to them questioning and asking all these other questions that, for some reason, I was just, man, I just flew off the handle. I really did go bust a rhyme, that one, you know what I'm saying? And, after I thought about it, after I did some self-reflection, I was talking to my wife later on that night, and I told her, I was like, I was going to go off. I was going to have all these smart comments or whatever, but something came over me. And once I understood what was being asked, okay, no, the answer was very simple, and I felt much better about myself, because even though I had acted that way in the, initial part, I didn't show them that. I didn't show that to anyone else. And after really coming down and really processing, what they were really asking me, I honestly had to laugh. I had to laugh at myself first, you know, and I had to laugh at the situation because, like I said, I could have easily blown my top. It could have easily been a very toxic conversation, but lucky for me, and you know, it wasn't. So, man.
You had a coping mechanism, man. That's the key, right? It's not like we're human, right? So some of us, you know, we're gonna have expressive notions. You know, we're gonna have these things. We may have a preconceived notion about why this person is saying things. There's a lot of things that go on. There's a lot of variables. We're human. But the thing you did was you had understood that there was still some missing information. Because what we do as humans, we try to piece everything together before we even know everything.
Yeah.
Right? So one of the things I always tell my clients is we have to put interrupt between the thought, emotion, and the way we respond. So we don't want to react, we want to respond, right? So when you have that thought, emotion, like you did, before you even said anything, you did what you had to do, you got that emotion out, right? So you can intelligently respond. So that's still good, right? But that's what more people have to do. So I always recommend, like, before you even, you know, if you don't understand everything, one, ask questions. Right? You got to ask the proper question, like, what do you mean? You know, get clarifying questions. But another thing is, before you go through that thought, emotion, once that hits you, however you feeling, if you're feeling hot, you know, when we get upset or emotional, we feel something physically. So we got to understand that response from our body, right? Because once I feel hot, I know I'm hot. I know I'm upset, right? So I'm like, yo, I need to either remove myself from this, right? Or I need to ask a question to get clarity, right? You have to have that in between. I always take a deep breath. Like if I feel something, I go 5 seconds in and I say, am I being rational when I do that? You can say whatever you want to say, but I say, am I being rational? When I breathe in, and then I hold it for 5 seconds. I don't say anything. I just let my thoughts be. And then 5 seconds out, I say, what are they trying to tell me, right? And then that allows me to go ahead and ask that person, like, okay, what do you mean by this, you know? Or I'll mirror them, what we call a mirroring technique, right? Or I'll say, you know, this is what I heard. And I'll say whatever they heard, is this what you mean, right? Because when you do that, one, you prevent yourself from going off the rails when it may not even be that serious, right? And two, you understand and you show that person respect. So if it is a difficult conversation, now that person understands that you are listening, you are hearing them, and you're present in that moment, right? So it diffuses them as well. So that's the type of techniques and stuff we are still learning, right? But these are the things we need to implement in order to have successful relationships.
Okay, come on, man. Look, talk to me now. All right, look here. Mindset, y'all. Mindset. I told y'all. Look, y'all gonna get this gospel today. I mean,
I read this stuff all day, every day, man. I'm so into it, man, because I understand what it's done to us, right? Yeah. Because, you know, to really be in helpless and hopeless situations for so long, right? We are really the only people who've been in that for so long, right? And never received anything for it, right? They just let it one day, you know, even in the South, they didn't even know they were free, right? That tells you how bad it was, right? When you don't even know you're free. This is the true date that slavery ended, but you weren't free until years later, right? So that type of thing with us has caused so much damage. And people are like, you know, why do black men do this? Why do black women do that? That is right? Because no other race has gone through the trauma and the pain and the really, you know, almost they tried to, you know, commit genocide on us, but it was unsuccessful. And that shows how resilient we are as a people.
So look, woo boy. So talk to me now, okay? Because in this day and age, you know, we have social media, we got music, we got television, we have movies, we have all these things that play into one's self-esteem about what a person should be. You know, yes. What are your opinions on all that? Because as you just said, man, they tried to kill us off all kinds of ways, but we keep coming back. But now,
with the new one being mass incarceration,
man, come on now, you know what I'm saying? But like I just said, social media, music, TV, movies, like first thing I think about when I get up in the morning, man, people grab their phone. Grab your phone, you scroll through the phone. 9 times out of 10, you ain't looking for the positive. You're looking for something that's going to shock you, or either something that's going to make you upset. And that is the stuff. Come on, dude. Doom scroll. All right? It's doom scroll.
I like that.
You scrolling for doom.
I like that term.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? You're not looking for peace. You're looking for something that can set you off. So now you have a reason to stay in this mode. You have a reason to stay in this mindset throughout the day. But, you know, man, like, talk to us about that a little bit, please.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I always recommend that people filter their feeds, because no matter what, right, energy is transferred, right? Whether you believe it or not, it's been proven that energy is transferred through everything that you do. Even inanimate objects like tables have energy, right? They were once wood. We have to think about that. Where did this table come from, right? So we have to understand that when we scroll through this negative energy, we are getting that thrown back on us. So if you start your day off with that, that's the energy you're going to project mostly, right? So you're going to look at things to confirm that negativity too. Oh, you know what I mean? My boss, that's a microaggression, this and that, you know, all that is going to be in your mind. You're going to start looking at all the little negatives and you're subconsciously pointing that out. And that's going to cause you to, by the end of the day, if you have a family or someone else, now they're going to get the brunt of it because you went through your whole day with all this stuff going on and it's building up. Oh, I didn't like how they did that, right? I didn't like how they did that, but you may not, probably not saying anything about this, right? So now by the time you get to your loved ones, you have that conversation. Now what is that conversation? Oh, guess what happened to me at work? This and that, this and that. Or are you talking to your family? Maybe as a man, you're holding it in, or maybe as a woman, you're holding it in. Now you're blowing up on your family because it's your kid forgot to do the homework assignment, or your husband or wife, they forgot to put a dish in it. That's what happens, right? It's really an accumulation of these things. So when you look back at that, and I call it the miracle morning, right? Your power hour, right? You put your power hour in the morning. Now you have these wins, right? Now, like I like to do, I'll give myself as an example. When I wake up, I like to get my workout in, right? I have to get a workout in, just something. It doesn't have to be crazy. I could be doing yoga, whatever. Get a workout in, educate myself, right? I need to educate myself for at least 30 minutes before the world wakes and everyone tries to dictate what my life is going to look like for me, right? And then I want to make sure, but before all this, I want to make sure I drink water, right? Because we're dehydrated because we've been sleeping all day, sweating, getting rid of dead cells. There's a lot of things that goes into sleep, right? The regeneration of the mind, body, and spirit. So you want to make sure that you set yourself up for success whenever you wake up, right? I'm not going to say in the morning because maybe somebody works nights or whatever, but whenever you choose to wake up, make sure you're setting yourself up for success. Because what I always talk about is making success flow with ease for you. And in order to do that, you need to make sure you do sort of a feng shui of your life. Feng shui is the flow of everything, making it flow with how you function, right? That's what it is. You need to do that with your life, right? So if I journal, my journal should be next to my bed if I do it at night. If I do it in the morning, it's gonna be at my desk when I come to work, right? If I know I work out and I do a pre-workout, I got my workout clothes already picked the night before. I have my pre-workout shake already made. I have my protein shake made for after the workout. That's the type of things you want to do, right? You need to make success flow with ease. Because once you get that first win, now we can have success in perpetuity because you know how to do it all over again. So if you lost it, you'll get it back.
Okay, all right. Hey, man, look, flow, as you said, it's about flow.
Flow.
Man.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
See?
And the reason why is because, you know, we talked about the relationships, that flow flows into your relationship. So if I've done this and my day was light, I kept that pressure off me, right? Even if something negative happens, I'm probably looking at it from a positive position because I've had wins already, right? I'm not in a battle state. I'm not in that war state because I've won. So now when that bad things happen, I'm going to say, I'm not gonna let that dictate how the rest of my day goes. One of the tips I always give people is to number your day. If you journal, put 1 through 10 on the top of your journal, right on that page. And if you, chances are you have way more good days than you have bad. Maybe one thing happened, but so many of us let one small thing ruin the rest of the day. We have to stop doing that. We have to stop doing it. And the way to do it is gratitude. That same person, that relationship you talked about, we have to be grateful for that person. If they're allowing us to grow and flourish in some way, we need to be grateful for that person. And if not, you got to reevaluate those relationships. Let's keep it real.
Look, truer words have never been spoken, sir. Okay, look at it. No, for real, man. Like, look, y'all, I told y'all, we vibing over here. Like, y'all don't know. Like, man, like inside, I got the big Kool-Aid cheese going on right now. Because, well, no, I mean, you're hitting on things I know that are, man, look, I value them, and I know others like me that value them as well. And as you said, you wake up, you get your flow on, you get your exercise on, whether it's mental, physical, what have you. You like update yourself on what's going on, something positive or what have you. Get your water in, tea, what have you, all that. And then, by the time your partner wakes up, they're in a, foul mood or what have you, or they may get a text, phone call, this, that, and the other. You're so much in control that you talk them from going from the left, not to the right, but look, this is where you need to be. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm able, when you're talking, when you're in that state, you're able to listen to understand instead of listening to respond. And that's the key. It's active listening, right? Instead of putting our agenda on somebody, we just have to process what they're saying and then ask them, do they want that support via our responses, or do they want us to just listen, right? Because a lot of times we try to be problem solvers when that's not what's the cause. So we have to really come there empty to that conversation. Come there empty. So you don't have any preconceived notions. You don't have any solutions. You just listen. And then you respect that person's space and say, hey, do you want my opinion, or do you want me to just listen? Right? And that's simple as that, because that's going to prevent arguments. Then that's also going to increase your support, and they're going to respect you, and you have the respect for them, right? So we have to be more so understanding of that, right? Don't push our agendas on other people, because they may not be ready to hear what we have to say quite yet, So we have to understand where they want us and meet them where they are sometimes.
Look here, active listening. All right, man, look at it, man, look. The brother dropping these jewels, I don't know if y'all picking them up. Look, y'all better start picking some stuff up, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to let them keep dropping these jewels and y'all not listen, okay? No, man, brother, you working that. Look here, brother. As the people in the church say, you working that organ over there, boy. You over there working that organ. I don't know what you're doing, but you over there working it now. All right.
Yeah, right.
But no, so look, you are also an author, okay? And yes, 2 great books, Own Your Kingdom and All Gas, No Brakes. Talk to us about these books, brother.
Sure, man. So Own Your Kingdom really comes from my journey, right? It's not a biography or any of that. What it is the lessons that I've learned along my journey, from coming from 17, facing 7 years in prison because I didn't love myself, I didn't value myself, right? I didn't believe in myself. And then coming to the point where I had to learn vulnerability, right? Vulnerability allowed me to understand diverse thinking and the power of that. It allowed me to see something other than the hood of Rochester, New York, right? What I would not have seen if I never joined the military. I never said, you know what? I know there's something more, right? And I'm not getting that where I am, so I have to go somewhere else in order to make this happen, right? So that's really what this book is about. It's a success plan. It's an action plan. There's some workbooks that come along with it. It's about 25 plus exercises in there. And these are exercises I've actually gone through to go through my life and just get better. Like the Wheel of Life, finding my Ikagi, which is a Japanese principle of finding your reason, pretty much. So those are the types of things that's in Own Your Kingdom. And then when you think of All Gas, No Brakes, it's actually a collaboration book with about 9 other authors. And what we did was we talked about how we got where we are, right? Where we are in different industries. There's different industries that you get. And they asked us some questions about, what our life looked like before, what we learned to get to where we are now, and then how someone else can apply those principles. And that's what you'll get in All Gas, No Brakes.
Okay. All right. Look here, man. I was having a conversation basically on what you're talking about right now. And the quote that came out of that conversation was, if we keep focusing on the why, the how will eventually catch up and give us the answer.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir. I love that quote because so many of us focus on how, and then it just stifles us. We never take action. So I love that quote.
And you forget about the why because you're so focused on the how, and we want the how right now. And that's not what it is. You have to keep focusing on the why. The how will eventually come. No matter, man, it's just science. It's going to come. It's like, it may not come the way you want it to come, but it will. And when it shows up, everything you've been asking yourself, oh, well, you know what? No, it will all make sense, and you will start doing the things you need to do, and your why and your how will be together. And
what you say, you playing that organ, right?
Man, you over there playing? Boy, I don't know what you're doing over there, but you're playing the organ, boy. You over there playing that organ. Okay.
Yes, sir. You playing that organ, boy.
Woo! Hey, man. Look, that's a conversation for a whole nother day.
Yeah.
But,
100%.
But, if you can, just talk to us a little bit about your own self-journey with depression and PTSD.
Yeah, man, it was quite the journey. Like I said, man, when I was 17, I didn't value myself. I didn't love myself. And I didn't know that was depression back then, right? We never had names for it back then. That was, however many years, almost 20 years ago. We didn't know that in the hood, right? We just said, suck it up and drive on. That's what we was told, right? You suck it up. Like, you're a man, you don't cry, you don't do nothing, right? Well, that's what we heard. So that's what I tried to do. And that pushing through, fast forward to when my last deployment, all the way up to 2017, I had my last deployment in Afghanistan. And what happened there was a suicide bomber, Veterans Day actually. We was all lined up for a Veterans Day run. And a suicide bomber detonated at that run, right? Killed 4 soldiers, wounded and injured some civilians and some contractors, right? And all I knew, luckily, my training kicked in and I knew to get people to the hospital and patient administration, all these other things. But what really impacted me, and I didn't know it would, was I went out for the remains cleanup team that same night. And when you're doing a remains cleanup team, you're literally picking up remains from the bomber and from your people, right? So what impacted me was treating that bomber, that suspect, the same way I treated the victims and my brothers and sisters, right? Not being able to differentiate. So when I got home, 2017, after a year of being over there, I thought I was fine. But like 6 months after being home, that shit hit me hard. Excuse my language. It hit me hard. Depression, PTSD, anxiety, all that stuff. I did not love anything I used to love. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And one day, it's just such a weight on me, and I could no longer push. Like, I was pushing through that whole time, and when you're coming from overseas, sometimes it's just hard to reintegrate, right? It's hard to understand society once you've been really put in a war place where you just got to do whatever you got to do. And it's the same thing for people that have been in prison, right? They feel the same thing. That's why I coach some of them, right? I coach people who've been in prison for a long time for that reintegration. But I called my sister, my oldest sister one time. Her name's Chandra. And I was just crying. And I just was like, apologizing for that. I don't even remember what I was saying. That's how bad it was, right? So after that, I knew I needed help because I had suicidal ideations. I started thinking that it would be better. And we've seen a lot of this in the recent times where people are committing suicide. And this is probably why. They have this misconception that people will be better off without them. And I had that. right? So I had to go ahead and reach out for a therapist. I got my own coach. I got my own everything I needed. And I started being vulnerable to the people I love, to my family and friends, and telling them, hey, I'm not okay. I'm not, right? And once I did all of that, man, that's why you see me here right now, man. Because that lifted all of that weight, that allowed me to fill myself back up. And that allowed me to reconnect with God, reconnect with my loved ones on a different level. Because what we have to realize is we are not a burden on the people who love us. They are there to uplift. You do not have to carry any burdens by yourself. And that's what we have to realize, especially Black men. Like, we're taught that. That is a misconception, man, because you are stronger together. We hear that, but that was never said in our communities, right? You are stronger together. Any change that has taken place had a movement behind it, and that includes the change of wellness in our communities.
Look, brother, look. You know, it's very funny, you know, we talk about burdens, and a lot of times when you talk to people that you haven't talked to for a while, and you know they may be going through their own mental health struggle or whatever, usually one of the first things people ask is, well, man, how come you didn't call me? How come you didn't reach out and talk to me? Usually the other person says, man, I didn't want to be a burden on nobody. I didn't want to bring nobody else down. I didn't want to be a damper on anybody else's day. I know I've said it plenty of times, you know, and when people say it to me, I feel a certain type of way because I know that I've been there for people, and it's not, man, holding no judgment about whatever. I've just been there for people who needed, man, a person to be there for them. But when I couldn't do it, when I couldn't reciprocate, you know, the same thing to others or whatever, you know, like, look, we all get this thing that, you know, I can talk to people about their problems, but ain't nobody gonna understand my problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, my problems are just so complex that nobody's gonna understand them, and there's no point of me really talking about it because you're not gonna really understand. And that right there is a big no-no, you know?
Yes.
And man, I wanna like dive into it just for a few. You know, I know we talked about Chesley Chris, you know, Miss USA, and Regina King's only child, her son, Ian, you know, and I know we talked about suicide and depression. And, you know, we hear it up. Look, you hear it. I hear it. Man, you know, she had everything she wanted. He had everything he wanted. His mom was in Hollywood. He was around all these things. His mom always talked about him, you know, being, you know, her rock and this and the other. You hear about Chesley Chris. Yeah, you know, she got her MBA. She was very smart. She was this, that, what have you. Look, as you said before, you don't know what's running through a person's mind. And just because you think they have certain things, that life is supposed to be okay. No, they had certain things, and their life was not okay.
Right, and this is what we have to understand. You know, with all, you know, anyone, right? There's a concept in psychology called hedonic adaptation, and what that is no matter where you are, you can shoot for a goal. Once you hit that goal, it's only going to make you feel good for a small amount. It's like when you buy a new car. When you buy that car, you riding around, you picking up your friends, you're like, yeah, come on, you know, let's go for a ride. After a couple months, that's just your car, right? It's just a car to you. It's called hedonic. You start, that's your new baseline. So now that euphoria has worn off. Same thing with them, right? They thought they wanted those things, right? They thought, but they still was missing their true purpose. And without purpose, we wander aimlessly, right? When you are hitting goals that someone else has set for you, also when you are not getting the help that maybe you needed at that level, right? There's a lot of things that go into that. When you think of suicide and when you actually act on suicide, it's a completely different thing, right? So there's so many variables that go on. I can't speak to what happened with them, what they felt, but I can't speak of what I've seen, because in the military, that's the highest cause of death, suicide, right? And what I found with a lot of people, when I go back and read like what happened, because usually they give signs of when they start giving stuff away, maybe they start calling you, they start writing letters to you. There's signs that show you when someone is typically about to do it, right? Versus when they're just speaking, they're talking about it. And that's what I've learned over time. Like we used to, in the military, we carry something called an ACE card, right? And we'd pull the ACE card out and it had like what you should do if you see somebody who's showing signs of suicide, what they would be doing. And that's what all I think about when I hear about these things. You know, how many people really knew to ask, hey, are you truly okay? Because, you know, you walk by someone every day and you say, you know, hey, how your day going? You never really stop to look at them. You never stop to really feel their energy, right? Because one of the things I've learned to do because of the military, because I've seen people do that and take themselves out after I've seen them the day before, was to really stop. If they say it's okay, I'll ask them why it's okay. Why just okay? Why is it not good? You know, and usually when you say it, you're up here, but now you're down here. We have to start paying more attention, because that can save someone's life. Really, truly saying, hey, are you really okay? Because I noticed, even if it's a coworker, I noticed your work is slipping. You know, you usually don't make these things, what's going on, right? Or maybe their voice is different. Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're showing up late. We have to start seeing what they typically do and learn their behaviors so that we can really see if they're truly okay. Because a lot of us are just gonna say, yeah, I'm good, you know, I'm cool, right? But you're really not. And on the other side, we have to start realizing that professional help is not a thing to have a stigma around, right? That's a necessary purpose. Your self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. So if you feel like you are struggling for some reason, get you a therapist, right? First, because therapy is best for mental health disorders. And I want to say that even if you don't have a mental health disorder, that does not mean that you're mentally healthy. It's a completely different thing.
Come on.
So we have to do this in a community. We have to see what's going on and just go. You'll be surprised what comes up, because we don't know trauma anymore. Trauma is a label we are just now hearing, right? And we use it for all types of things, right? We say pain, but trauma sticks with you. Trauma is something that manifests itself when you don't even know that it's manifesting itself. You don't even remember that back in the day, your parents closed the door on you when you were hurt and you were cut. You don't remember when something happened to you, someone said something that really made you feel down. You don't remember these things until someone asks you the right questions. And that's why therapy and all that is so important. So I just really want to leave with the listeners, like, therapy is not it's a preventative maintenance if you use it correctly. It should not be a reactive thing. It shouldn't be after the fact. It should be preventative, where we're talking about these things before we even get to the point where we absolutely feel like we need it. Because now it's a little late in the game.
Look here, brother. Woo! Look here. Man. Hey. Knowledge. That's all I can say. He didn't drop it. Man, look. And seriously, like, you said something very profound. It's, man, we're here to prevent the situation from happening. Yes. Or we're here to prevent you from feeling a certain type of way. I mean, right. I know people normally go when the situation is already like unfolded itself, but man, if you really jump on it ahead of time, you can really guide yourself. Look, you'll feel so much better and you'll be stronger than you actually think when the next time a situation rears its head, you already know how to react to it. So yeah, you have positive coping strategies, right? So that's the key, man. When you know, things are gonna happen. We're humans. But if you know exactly how to deal with that, and you know the signs, and you know your triggers, it's gonna put you in a much better position, man.
it's going to put you in a much better position.
Well, look, man, we running short on time, but I'm still going to ask this question to you. Okay, so, man, if you could give me the short version, man, I would love it. But how talking to someone about your struggles can help your mental health? As you said, I know going to a therapist and all, but for those who can't afford to see a therapist or what have you, how can talking to someone about your struggles help the mental health?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it earlier, how talking to someone who's very supportive of you, if you have a 15 to 30 second conversation, just micro interactions with these people, right? And you really are being your authentic self, you're really showing up as who you are and telling them what you're feeling, that is just as impactful as going to a therapy session, a 60-minute therapy session, right? Because you're comfortable with this person already. When you go to therapy, sometimes you got to warm up, and it takes 3, 4, 5, 6 sessions to do that, right? So when you do these micro interactions with people, that can really change how someone is, how someone interacts. And one of the things that's really talked about in trauma-informed care these days, right? They talk about finding out what the trigger is for someone, right? So maybe they were abused by a man that was 6 feet tall, Black, African-American, whatever it was. If you put him in that situation or her in the situation and that's who they're dealing with, they will retract or they will try to defend themselves, right? But if you change the whole situation dynamic, now you can go ahead and put someone who's completely different. Maybe you put a woman in there with them so they can feel comfortable, right? So different things like that. So you have a support system, right? If maybe your trauma occurred because someone looked like this and they sound like this, maybe that support system is someone in your system who is completely different and you feel comfortable talking to them. Just start with baby steps, right? Hey, listen, auntie, grandma, brother, sister, friend, whoever it is, wife, husband, whoever it is, just tell them listen, this has been on my mind lately, and I don't really want to talk about it now, but I just want to tell you to get this off my chest, right? However support you need, just be really transparent with what the support you need, tell them. And then the other person, just respect that. And if they aren't coming to you with that and you sense that something's up, ask them again, what's going on? And there's a question, this book, I'm telling you, this book by Oprah and Dr. Perry, what happened to you, right? Is a powerful question, because when you sense that someone has some greatness in them, but they can't quite get it out because they're dimming their own light, that what happened to you question may be it. What happened to you? Can you remember when you changed? Can you remember when you felt pain? Can you remember also on the other side when you last felt joy, right? These are some of the questions you can ask just to get them thinking. If someone's always down, ask them that, can you remember when you last felt joy? What was your happy moment? When do you remember that last moment? And then when they go back to that, now you have a place to start as that supporter. Now you can say, okay, so you were happy when you were outside playing basketball. When was the last time you went to the court? When was the last time you went to the court? You want to go to the court together? So stuff like that, just really building on that. And that's really what we can do. Other than professionals, you just have to support and find ways to show that you care and really be involved in that person's healing. Because healing is a process. There's no stoppage of healing. Healing is lifelong.
Well, look, man. Look, I have greatly appreciated everything, man. Well, not appreciate, but I just appreciate everything we talking about now and just everything that we've been talking about. And, if people want to get in contact with you via social media or website, how can they do so?
Yeah, Live Not Loathe on everything. I got YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just search Live Not Loathe. That's LiveNotLoathe. Or you can go to the website, livenotloathe.com.
There it is, y'all. Okay, man, look, here for help. We are here to help, okay? Informative content.
Yes, sir.
That's what this program's about.
And I want people to know, I'm sorry, man. I was going to say, if people DM me, man, I respond. This is my profile. I'll respond to you. So reach out if you need anything. And if I can't help you, I'll point you in the direction of someone who can.
See? Come on now. Solution oriented over here now, okay?
Yes, sir.
So now, Mr. Jevon Wooden, now we've come to the last question, the question that my show's known for, so I got to present it to you. What is the one word that best describes you and why?
I said it a little bit earlier, resilient. And the reason why I chose resilience is the ability to face adversity and still rise. And that describes me.
Hey, look, my word is going to be champion, all right? Because, man, you done been through it all. You done been through the ups, you done been through the downs. And as you said, resilient can go with that, but you are here, you know what I'm saying, to talk to us and to help us, you know what I'm saying, at the same time help yourself. And everybody, everybody benefits from, you know what I'm saying? So, man, I just thank you immensely for coming on to the platform, blessing us, blessing me. Like I said, I feel like I was talking to myself, about somebody else, you know what I'm saying? So look, hey, I just appreciate this. And ladies and gentlemen, man, seriously, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I've been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. You can follow me, all social media platforms, at Word with Ty Brownlow, or go to my website, tybrownlow.com. Definitely get this great interview, plus other great interviews as well. Man, Jevon Wooden, we got to go. But brother, I thank you, and we out, y'all. Peace.